Cage Warriors is back on this weekend in London. Got a flyweight title fight and some other good fights. I'm going to run through the card, give you my quick picks, and then we'll have a look at what bet I'm putting on at the end as well. So scrolling down to the first fight, we've got Tom Creasy versus Raz Bring. Late notice fight for Raz Bring. He's got a 7-6 record against Tom Creasy 5-2. Tom Creasy's been around a long time. Obviously, brother Sam Creasy, the former champion on Cage Warriors and former Octagon champion as well. So he's got a good training partner. I think Tom Creasy's pretty good. Raz Bring, he's lost 4 of his last 5 and then had a draw in there as well. His last 3 were against good level competition, but I feel like it's just going to be another loss on his record. Tom Creasy is going to be too good for Raz Bring. If he's losing to these guys, then I feel like Tom Creasy's on their level, if not a little better. So yeah, I think Tom Creasy gets that fight done. Next fight, we've got Joshua Adabo versus Callum Horgan. Good fight, this one. Joshua Adabo looked really impressive in his debut against Aaron Pierre. I think I picked Aaron Pierre to beat him in that fight, not knowing much about Adabo, but he really impressed me. Striking looked calm, collected. He didn't look like a debut fighter in there at all. He looked really good, and he was the highlight of that card for me. He really stood out to me, and I thought, well, I'm going to be picking this guy in the future. But he's coming up against another 1-0 guy, Callum Horgan from Great Britain top team. He looks like a decent striker as well, to be fair. He had his debut on Cage Warriors as well against this Finnish guy, Marco Sarazavari, however you pronounce that. And he looked good. He looked really good on the stand-up, but I feel like Joshua Adabo might be a little bit too much for him on the feet. Maybe Callum Horgan's got a better, well-rounded game, because we didn't get to see much of Joshua Adabo's grappling, but Aaron Pierre is a grappler and a wrestler, and he couldn't establish or get his grappling going. So I feel like it might be the same case here against Callum. So yeah, I'm going to lean with Joshua Adabo in this fight. Regardless of who you're picking, I think this is going to be one of the best fights on the card. If it goes the way I think it's going to go, a bit of a stand-up war. But yeah, we'll lean Adabo. Great fight that. So next fight, you've got Yousef Ali Taleb versus Antonio Amodio. That rhymes, doesn't it? Don't know much about these guys. 5-0 for Taleb and 1-0 for Amodio. So it's the Cage Warrior debut for Taleb. Antonio Amodio, he made a previous outing for Cage Warriors. I guess it was on one of the Italy cards. It's hard to remember them all because I don't pay as much attention to the Italy cards. It's not as entertaining for me. I think Yousef Ali Taleb, he's the massive favourite on Topology predictions. But I'm just going to sit back and watch this fight. I don't really have a good read on it or know enough about either of them. Next fight, you've got Ty Palmer versus Mitchell Good. Ty Palmer, he's got a losing record. He's 6-8 against Mitchell Good's 1-1. But he could easily be 0-2 Mitchell Good. I think he was losing this fight where he got the buggy choke. He looks alright. I think his grappling is better than his striking. And then he got finished in his last fight. Ty Palmer is 6-8, but in his last win coming against George Smith, who's decent. You know what I mean? I feel like George Smith's pretty good. George Smith's better than Mitchell Good. So that's a good win. And he beat Matthew Holland before that. He doesn't have a great record. And he lost his last fight to Paddy McCory. But Paddy McCory's a prospect, isn't he? So you can't take that away from him. I feel like Ty Palmer's the underdog in this fight as well, if I remember rightly. You could have a look at playing him as an underdog if you wanted to. I'll probably just leave the fight off. It's a little bit unpredictable, isn't it? Sit back and watch it. Next fight, we've got Brad Wheeler versus Raphael Aronov. Brad Wheeler, he's been around a long time. He won his last fight, but that was against a guy who's 9-33, so you can't count anything for that. And he lost 3 before that. Yeah, he didn't look great in those 3 losses. And he had a massive layoff before that 6 years, so He's been out of the game a long time in between those fights. He's going to get up against Aronov, and I feel Aronov's pretty good. He's had 2 losses in his last 5, but against Sean Clancy Jr., who's a prospect, potentially UFC bound in the future, and O'Neal Brown, the prize fighter tournament winner. So you can't take nothing from them losses. Like it's not terrible losses, and then he's had some good performances in there, some good wins. Got a win over Ben Pettis-Kelly, win over Jamie Richardson, and Danny Blundell as well. He looked good in that last fight, and I feel like he'll probably get the win here over Brad Wheeler. I'll leave it at that for that one. So we'll go on to the next fight. We've got Joe Middleton versus Naglis Caniskus, and then another good fight. I was watching a little bit of tape on these two because originally I thought, Caniskus is gonna win this fight, but then I watched some of Joe Middleton's fights and he's decent. He's a good grappler, good MMA grappler, not just like laying prey. He's constantly looking for the submission as well. And Caniskus has been beat like that before. He fought some Russian guy on UAE Warriors. I was watching it earlier on Fight Pass, and he pretty much just got held down for the full round. Although he did come close with a few submission attempts off his back. He was getting a nice high guard, had a few armbar attempts, but I feel like Joe Middleton's grappling is probably going to be too good for him. Although Caniskus is going to have the striking advantage, massive striking advantage. And I was watching one of Joe Middleton's fights. I think it was his debut against Isata Jacob, and he got dropped early. So I feel like Caniskus definitely has a chance to win by knockout. But I feel like, or a sub maybe, but I can't. It's less likely, I would say. But I feel like Joe Middleton's going to control him and potentially get the submission though. But I think it's going to be a good fight again. Another one what I'm looking forward to. So yeah, I'm going to lean Joe Middleton on that one. Next fight, you've got Jack Humphreys versus Rory Evans. MMA Fight Academy products now, Jack Humphreys. I feel like they're trying to lay up the Fight Academy guys, but Rory Evans, he's got a mixed record, 7-7, but he's pretty decent, and he's beat some prospects in the past before. I think Adam Wilson was on the come up when he beat Adam Wilson. Taka Mandu, he's pretty good from KF. Chris's guy from KF. Chris Fields, he looked good, that Taka Mandu. He was a bit of a prospect himself, so he's definitely got potential to win Rory Evans. Jack Humphreys, he looks like one of the better ones from this Fight Academy though, to be honest. And I'm not sure what's going on with that Fight Academy, because I think the fighters are really talented. I'm not so sure what they're doing though, because I feel like they should be doing better. Some of the fighters, there's a few of them have lost recently at massive odds as well, like Teddy Stringer on the last show. I'm not sure of what the game planning is like, or the coaching. But I feel like maybe a few of them are getting a bit hindered by it, potentially. I don't know, because I'm not involved in it, but I just feel like they're definitely capable. They're better, they're stable, the fighters what they've got, and a few of them have been losing lately, even though they've been set up to win. Anyway, so I feel like Jack Humphreys will probably get that fight done, but I won't put it past Rory Evans for getting upset. But like I said, Jack Humphreys is one of the better guys from there, so I think he'll get the win. Next fight, Oisawa versus Damiano Scogna. Don't know much about these two. I've seen Oisawa's name quite a few times, but just doesn't really stand out to me, any of his performances, even though he's got 2 KOs in his last 3 fights, so maybe I've just missed those fights or something. Going up against Scogner, who's 5-0, got a few finishes himself, so I'll just sit back and watch this fight. I think Tapology is saying Sawa massive favourite. Probably thought there's definitely better competition over here than there is in Italy, and it looks like the 2 fights he has had on Cage Warriors, he's fought a Italian guy and a Greek guy. But yeah, I've not got a massive read on this fight. I'll just watch it. Next fight, Tariq Pell versus Adam Shelley. Another banger. There's going to be some good fights on this card. I'm looking forward to it. I'm not even sure if I'll be able to watch it live, but I'll definitely be watching it at some point on Saturday. Tarek Pell, he's looking like a prospect himself, isn't he? Coming out of BST, teammate of Jordan Vucenic, which I've seen lately, earlier as well. Vucenic has been released by the UFC. I don't know if it's true or not, but that's a bit harsh, that, to be honest. He's had two tough fights in his first two. That'd be gutting for him if he has been released. I wonder if he'll just retire now. I'm not sure, or if he'll come back to Cage Warriors, or maybe move to Octagon, because you can still get a decent payday with Octagon. And he's coming up against Adam Shelley, stepping in on late notice, I believe, from Chris Field's gym, KF. He looked good in his last fight against Simone Patrizi, and Patrizi's a decent fighter. Lost two before that, one against Marin Vetrella, who I believe is a teammate of Tarek Pell, and he got finished though. So they'll probably have a bit of knowledge on Adam Shelley as a fighter, Tarek Pell's team, seeing as they've already faced him a couple of fights ago. And then they lost to Ewan Davis before that, but Ewan Davis is really good. He was just supposed to be fighting for the title, wasn't he? So 6-4 record, but I think he's better than that suggests. A lot of these Cage Warriors guys are, because they're fighting other talented guys in the Cage Warriors divisions. But yeah, when he has lost, Adam Shelley, he's lost to these up-and-coming prospects, and I think Tarek Pell is another one of those. I feel like it could go either way, but maybe Tarek Pell's a little bit more well-rounded, a little bit stronger when it comes to the clinch, and maybe he can get his grappling going. Or other than that, I see it being a very close striking battle. Maybe I'll lean Tarek Pell, but I wouldn't be surprised if Adam Shelley won that one. Next fight, Wesley Meyer versus Aiden Stephen. Another great fight. Wesley Meyer is making a bit of a name for himself, isn't he? He's had some good wins recently. Alexander Loof in his last fight lost against Shazad Cadrian in that prize fighter tournament, and a win over Lewis McGrillen before that, and you see what Lewis McGrillen's doing. He's good, Wesley Meyer. Definitely not your average 10-6 record. Like I was saying just in the past, these Cage Warriors records, it shows, doesn't it? Records don't mean nothing. You're still getting these entertaining scraps. And like, when I look at Cage Warriors, it doesn't mean as much to me. I'm just entertained by the fights anyway. I don't know what my point is with that. I just feel like, yeah. The records don't matter as much in Cage Warriors. They're all fighting each other, and they're all like evenly matched in most scenarios. Aiden Stephen got a win in his last fight against Jordy Bax, and that was impressive in that performance. And then a loss before that to Alexander Loof, but Loof looked good in his last fight, didn't he, against Aiden Lee. Even though I thought Aiden Lee might have won that fight. It was very close though. And then a couple of wins before that. It's going to be close, this one. I feel like they both got good grappling, but Aiden Stephen might have a slight advantage in the grappling. I've rolled with him, he's really good. Really good. But Wesley Meyer might have a slight advantage in the stand-up, and he's got good calf kicks as well, Wesley Meyer. So that might play a factor in this fight. It's going to be a hard one to pick this. Maybe I'm being a bit biased, but I've met Aiden Stephen a few times. I think he's good. He's decent. I'll probably side with him, but I think it's a pretty 50-50 fight. So, and Aiden Stephen might be the underdog, like a 2-1 underdog. So it would be worth having a little gamble though. We'll have a look at the odds at the end. Anyway, next fight we got Anthony Orozco versus Luan Duarte. So remember when I was saying these MMA Fight Academy guys getting layups? Here's another one for you. Luan Duarte 14-10 against Orozco, who's 6-0. Orozco looks like he's pretty decent now as well, one of the better guys from this Fight Academy. But you've seen them lately, they're coming up against these Brazilians and that, and they're losing. And he's a massive favourite. He's like a 1-10 favourite or something at Orozco, so I definitely won't be putting him on. You may as well just leave this fight and watch it. He should win, shouldn't he? But we'll see. Next fight, Leon Hill versus Stephen Hill. This is going to be interesting how they pronounce these two at the in the fight, the commentators. Leon Hill is 7-2. His last loss was against Ewan Davis, who we've already spoke about. Good fighter. No shame in that. And it was like a slick submission what he got caught in as well. And his fight before that, I can't remember who it was against, but he chuck it on like a day notice because it was in COVID when they had the bubble cards, and I was there, and we was around Leon Hill and his team, and they took that fight on like a day's notice, and it was against Joshua Nwade, who's a decent fighter as well. It was his pro debut, and he just took it on a day's notice, got in there, and he did all right, I think, but yeah, come up short. But he's really good, Leon Hill. I rate him. He's good, and he's coming up against Stephen Hill, coming off the back of 2 losses on Bellator against decent guys as well. That Joseph Liciano, he just fought on PFL recently, and Mike Shipman, who's been around a long time, who's decent as well. I can't remember, is it Shipman who beat Tom Aspinall back in the day? Anyway, he's fought some good guys in his last 2 fights, and then he's had a few wins on Bellator as well. But I like Leon Hill in this fight. I think Leon Hill is decent, so I'm going to side with Leon Hill. Yeah, that's about as far as I'm going on that one. Next fight, Cameron Ellis versus Shehzad Cadrian. It's going to be tasty on this one, isn't it? He's always in some drama, Cameron Ellis. And this Shehzad, he's bringing a bit of a drama as well himself, isn't he? He's a clone though, isn't he? He starts coming up with like all the shit what's already been said before. I'm not a fan of that. What was he saying? I can't remember what he said now. Some cheesy shit where he was just like copying Islam Makhachev or something. Cameron Ellis is good for a round. I feel like he's good for a round, and then if he doesn't get it going, he's gonna get beat by Shehzad. Yeah, and that's how I see this fight going, to be honest. I feel like Shehzad should but he should probably win. But Cameron Ellis, he's upset the party a lot of times, hasn't he? He's been in there. I remember when he fought on Bellator against that Irish lad, was it Dylan Chuk, and he like sparked him out with first punch. He beat Paddy back in the day when Paddy was just a young kid though, wasn't he? He was like literally a young kid. So he has upset the apple cart, and if he does do that, he usually gets it done early. I think he went decision with Rhys McEwen last time, but it was a split decision, and I'm not sure how I feel about Rhys McEwen. He kind of gave up in that fight a bit, didn't he? But he's been training at Extreme Couture though, Cameron Ellis, so he's been training with some good bodies. Is it Extreme Couture or it's the other one near the Syndicate? I can't remember which one, but he's been training with David Grant and that, so getting some good training in. It'd be interesting to see how he does, but probably won't put that fight on anyway, because like I said, I think Cameron Ellis can definitely upset the party early, so it's risky to go with Shehzad, who's probably a massive favourite. Next fight, the main event, Shadak versus Joanny Scott. Shadak seems like he's been around forever, doesn't it? But he's still only 34, nearly 35. He's coming up against Joanny Scott, who's like 28. And he's fought everywhere, Shaj. He's fought everywhere against tough guys. I'm pretty sure he was fighting in Russia and stuff at one point. And then he's had some like great wins. The last fight over Michele Martignoni. Fight before that, KO'd Sam Creasy. He's a good fighter, Shadak. And I feel like his experience is probably going to get him the win here against Joanny Scott. Joanny Scott is decent as well. He's had some good performances, but then some close fights as well. I remember this fight, this G Matos one. And that G Matos is just like a Brazilian regional guy, and he gave Joanny Scott some trouble earlier. Joanny Scott like slipping everywhere all over cage in that fight, and I thought, no, I think I put him on as like a 1 to 10 favourite as well. And then I thought, oh my god, he's gonna lose. And it was like the first fight of the night, but he managed to come back and get the win there. But yeah, I think Shadak might just have a bit too much experience for him, to be honest, and get the fight done there. But we'll see. Let's have a look at what bet we can put on anyway then. So, Brad Wheeler versus Raphael Aronov. I'm pretty confident Aronov gets the win there, so we'll pick him. Next fight, Calamite Hagen versus Joshua Adabo. I'm going to go with Joshua Adabo, but it's going to be a great fight. Jack Humphreys versus Rory Evans. I think this will be a good fight too. Maybe we put Jack Humphreys on because he's not a massive favourite. You know what I mean? He's not too big a favourite. We'll come back to that one. We'll come back to it. Potentially we'll put that on. Next fight, Joe Middleton versus Caniskus. Even odds. I feel like Joe Middleton should get it done, but he's definitely at risk of getting knocked out as well. But I like what I've seen of Joe Middleton, so I'm going to pick him. Next fight, Oisawa versus Damiano Scogno. You could go Oisawa, but I'm not sure. I can't really remember how this Scogno's previous fights goes, and I'm not doing any tape on it, so I'll leave it off. Tom Creasy should get the win, but he's 1-8. Ty Palmer versus Mitchell Good. Remember we were saying earlier, I feel like Ty Palmer, he's got a losing record 6-8, but a couple of fights ago he beat George Smith, and I feel like George Smith's better than Mitchell Good. So yeah, you could potentially put him in as an underdog. I probably won't. I'll just watch the fight because he's 6-8 at the end of the day, and he's definitely beatable. Next fight, you got Yousef Ali Taleb versus Antonio Amodio. Don't know enough about him, so I'll leave that off. Orozco, 1-14 favourite. No point putting it on. Cameron Else versus Shazad. Like I was saying, Shazad should win, but he could get clipped in the first round, and it's not really worth it at 1-4, so we'll leave that off. Shadak versus Joanny Scott. We'll put Shadak. I've seen it's even odds. Steve Hill versus Leon Hill. We're going to go Leon Hill. Tariq Pell versus Adam Shelley. That's going to be a tough fight. And Wesley Meyer versus Aiden Stevens is going to be a tough fight as well. So I said we leave them off and we just go with a 5. You get him 110 back off a tenner, which is not terrible. That's a decent bet. So you could just put that on. And if you wanted to risk it and put a bigger accumulator on, which I'll probably end up doing anyway, just for the fun of it, because that's why I bet. I'm not betting for a living, I'm just betting for fun. And I've had the big ones come in before, like the 10 fold accumulators come in before, and it feels good when it does. So you could put Jack Humphreys on. I think he should get the win. And then Adam Shelley taking this on late notice. Just fought recently though, so he's been in but Tariq Pell, I think he's decent, probably maybe slightly more well rounded, but at a 1-2 favourite, am I risking it? I'm not sure. Maybe I'll leave that off, and then I might put Aiden Stevens on because he's quite a big underdog though against Wesley Meyer, and I feel like he has got the grappling advantage, and he could potentially win 2 of the 3 rounds, or he might even get a finish there with a sub. So because Wesley Meyer is definitely susceptible to gassing out as well. I've seen that before where he slows down, and then Aiden Stevens might just take over there. But Aiden Stevens been cracked before, like where he was against Alexander Loof, so even fight, but I'd say it's closer in odds than what they're giving, so may as well just go Aiden Stevens as an underdog. And then a tenner on that get you like 500 quid back, so definitely a better bet. Let's see what it is if we put Adam Shelley on. That'll get you over $1,000 back if you put that on. But I'll probably just put this on 7-fold. Yeah, so if you're still here and you like this video, make sure you subscribe and like the video for me. And then I'll see you next time. I've already done a UFC video, so you can watch that if you want to. And then more Cage Warriors coming soon, I think, as well anyway. So see you next time. Good luck on the weekend.